poor Tim. His script run for 6.3, it was a great script, and I love the idea of some of my favourite stories are the ones set inside the TARDIS. I love Edge of Destruction, for example. I love Legopolis, where it's all in TARDIS interiors, and it used to thrill me as a Doctor Who fan. I don't know how classic fans feel now, but it used to thrill me when the Doctor used to venture away from the TARDIS console room and venture deep inside the TARDIS. And here we get to see various rooms in the TARDIS and how it's all going to look. It's an immense CGI trickery. We had to film so many. I mean, it's all set actually in this console room, but the point is we can lift out the console room, we could change all the walls to make them look with the roundels and everything. But actually what we had to do with this one was we employed green screen, so we cover up sort of this area, in a green screen, and then digitally build corridors and film, the roundels from various angles. And that actually was quite complicated to do. And from time to time, you sort of like that. Sometimes the action is so complex that you simply can't do that. In fact, we did something similar when we did the library in Possession, when you first see the TARDIS library, because I think you see the TARDIS library here again. But the reason why I say poor Tim is because the script must have changed probably a couple of times. I wanted it to be a relatively straightforward story, something where the Guardians now are going one-on-one with Perdita and the Doctor. One of my favourite sequences in it actually is the sequence where the Doctor climbs outside of the TARDIS and goes round and inside. Again, a very complex thing to film. It was all green screen work, of course, but very complex little sequence to film. It was a great script, and it's a full-on action-packed script as well. But I just love the idea that, for me, the interior of the TARDIS is the roundels or the corridors. I like sort of what they've done in the new series. Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS comes to mind. A good premise for a story. Funny enough, I had actually thought of I Wonder What's at the Centre of the TARDIS long before they made that. But one of the things I didn't like about it was the interior corridors. I thought they looked a bit dark and industrial, which I never saw the TARDIS as being dark and industrial. And it certainly goes away from the David Tennant, Christopher Eccleston era, where they talk about TARDIS as being grown and whatnot. But for me, that walking inside the roundels can be just as creepy and menacing, just like the beginning of Enlightenment, for example, where you see the TARDIS and it's all dark. And another favourite sequence of mine from the classic series is the scene in Arc of Infinity when I think it's Commander Maxwell pulls out that little device from under the console room and the lights go dark. That's quite scary. The Doctor's stranded. He's in the TARDIS. There's nowhere to escape. The Guardian's on his back. I remember that originally in this script, it was set in a cinema. The Doctor ventured out, this door and was inside a cinema, and I remember it was being set in various movies. So the TARDIS was crying out to be rescued, and then the Doctor met sort of the TARDIS's soul, who was a female, I think. It was all very complicated, and I just sort of was like, stories are great when they're complicated, but they still have to be good stories. And so that is where I thought, it's too complicated and it's not a good story. So simplifying it down. And I thought the Govex was such a great monster, even if he was an absolute pain in the backside to film with. But I think run by Tim. I think Tim had a tough job, but I think he's done a really clever storyline here.